We got 1, 2, 3. We know we got victory over math. Yeah. So here we have our last example for this whole condensing expanding part. So we got victory over our math here. So we know we can do this because we are smart, we are kind, and we are important. You are smart, you are kind, and you are important. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to condense this down again. But this time we're going to throw in the power rule, because we didn't do the power rule a few minutes ago. So the first thing we're going to do is deal with our power rule. Now we know that we're moving backwards, so that means that any exponents that we had, and when it came to expanding it, we took those exponents and we moved them into the very front of the log, right in front of the log. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take those numbers that are in front of the logs and we're going to put them back up as exponents. So we put the numbers that are in front of the log and put it up as exponents. That's the power rule. So then with our power rule, I'm going to write that right here, power rule. We're going to take any numbers that are in front of the log. So that 2 is in front of the natural log. This 1/3 is in front of the natural log. And we're going to move them up as exponents right here. Move them up as exponents. So all we're going to do is rewrite this so that it's natural log x squared plus natural log x plus 5 to the 1/3 power. And before we move on and start doing the next rule and all that stuff, let's go ahead and change our fraction exponents to radicals so that it's easier to deal with later on. So I'm going to change this fraction exponent to a radical. And so I'm going to ask you again to let me know what do you think is going to be there. Because we know it's going to be a radical. We know we're going to have x plus 5 here. And it don't always have parentheses underneath it. But when it comes out of the radical to the fraction exponent, you have to add parentheses there because it's important. So with that, what number comes out here as a radicand? And what number comes underneath here as a radical, the exponent? And here, let me just go ahead and add parentheses. They don't always add parentheses, but sometimes they do. So hopefully everybody understands, remembers there should be a understood 1 there and a 3 right here. So the bottom number is always the radicand, and that top number is the exponent underneath it. Okay, so look at the next part. Is there a quotient rule here? Is there any division going on is there any subtraction going on anywhere in this problem at all? Anywhere? No, so there is no quotient rule. I'm going to write this down. Because there's no subtraction going on to change to division. There's no subtraction to change to division. So when you write that down, write it down. No subtraction in the problem to change to division. Ooh, if I could spell, that'd be great. Subtraction. Ooh, Jesus. Oh my, maybe I should just not write that down. I hope I didn't go down too far. I went too far. Oh no. Alright, so let me go ahead and do this really quickly because I have something else, another problem that's down here. So I'm going to move this down. I'll go down. It bounced up hot. Move you down really quickly. Alright, so now we don't need to see that right now. We'll come to that in a few minutes. Alright, so now come back up to this top one again. So let's take a look at this one that we just did. This part right here in the red. Let's look at that line. I'm going to use that rule, and so we know there's no quotient rule. We already used the power rule. So last thing is our product rule, and we have to see if there's any product rule going on here. And everybody should hopefully see that there is product rule there, hopefully, because the x squared got a log, and the cube root of x plus 5 got a log, and then we put an addition in the middle. So since there's an addition in the middle, doesn't that mean that we have the product rule going on? Yep. Yes, sirree, Bob. SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. For me money. Green for money. Alright, so we have this going on. So multiplication happens here. So we took these two and took the log out. We condensed it down to one log. And we put the stuff back together as multiplication. Now the only thing I would say before we move on to the last one is make sure that there is space between x squared and the cube root. Because if it's too close, it looks like it's x 23rd power. So, and I'm going to write this down. I'm going to erase it. So don't write this down. Just watch what I'm getting ready to write here. Just watch it. Just watch. Don't write anything down here. Just watch it. So here, if you put things too close together, that kind of looks like it could be in like x to the 23rd power square root of x plus 5 or something of that sort. So make sure there's more space between these two. Like I have it right here. Make sure there's space so I can tell that there's multiplication going on and not just all together with some weird thing happening. I believe space there. It's okay. Space is good. That's why you're supposed to dance like with 10, like what? I think 5 inches between each other or 10 inches between each other. Space. That's how babies are made. We don't need babies right now. If you have a baby, yeah, you don't need another one. So, we'll hold off on that. Alright, so here's the last thing. Right, sorry. Let's do this part. Let's box this up too, because that's our final answer there. And some of you guys, that made so much more sense than actually dealing with what we just did with expanding. And that always happens. It seems to always happen that some people either understand the condensing part and don't understand expanding. Some people that understand they understand expanding perfectly but don't get condensing. Then there's that small few again that just get both of them. So it's understandable if you only got one of them and one of them made sense to you. Alright, so for B, I've added parentheses right here because for some reason I never put parentheses there when I actually typed it out. And I keep doing this every single year and I have to add parentheses in there. Alright, so we're going to add parentheses because this whole thing is being subtracted right here. So that's important. Alright, so again, we're going to deal with our power rule. Let's see if there's any numbers that are in front. We're going to call them coefficients. So any numbers or coefficients that are in front of the log, those become your exponent. Just for that variable, that number with the log. So this 2, make sure, because I had this last year for some reason, I didn't understand how they got it. But I had people that would take this 2 and move it all the way to this y. So it'll be 10 to, like, it'll be y to the 10th power and y to the 2nd power. And I was really confused. So whenever you do these, you only go with the number that's with the log. So here, you only go with the x here. It doesn't go with the other stuff back here. It only goes with just the x. Just that number that's with it. So this 2 only goes with the 5, simply because it's log 5 base b, and the 2's in front of all of that. So that 2 only goes to the 5. And this 10 only goes to the y. Only. Not to the y and the 5 and the x. And that 1/4 doesn't go to all of them. It just only goes to those pieces. So make sure you don't get that confused or think it should go to that because it should be harder. Stop thinking it should be harder. Math is not always a hard thing. Some things are supposed to be easy for you for math. It's supposed to be easy. So if you overthink it, it's going to be hard. So relax with it again. Relax, relax. Math is not a bad thing. Just relax. And here again, your b's are the base numbers. They're below the log. X is on the same line as log. 5 is on the same line as log. Y is on the same line as log. Same line. Alright, so then we go to our quotient rule and see what's there. And we have subtraction going on. And because we have subtraction means we have quotient rule. So here, subtraction is happening. So we can go ahead and use that and change that to division. So all we're going to do for a quotient rule is keep this part here, don't change that. Keep this part here, don't change that. And all we're doing is changing subtraction to a division bar. And that's it. So don't put too much thought into that. Stop thinking so hard on that. All you do is just take this part, put a division bar right there, and then take that part. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do log x to the 1/4 power base b. And oh, I forgot to do something. Everybody's, I And hopefully everybody caught it. And I'm going to go ahead and change this part here to the radical. So here, and I'm going to, let me do this really quickly before I actually go into that part. I'm going to change this to the radical, and I'm going to put this in red. And what I would do here is go ahead and erase the quotient rule here, since you already did, if you wrote that down. Hope you didn't write it in pen. Oh, I'm sorry if you did. I'm going to change this to the fraction, the radical, so that it's easier to write with. So we have the 4th root of x for just this part here. And we have subtraction, all the good stuff. So when we write it, the next part for the quotient rule, we're going to write it with the radical instead of the fraction exponent. Alright, so again, write the quotient rule here. And we're going to take this part here and we're going to put it on top and then divide it. We're going to divide all of that. Bam! Oh yeah. And if you want to, you can put the parentheses back down there again, which I'm going to do. But they don't always have parentheses on the bottom. So you saw that in the practice and the example. You don't always have parentheses on the bottom. No, I'm not going to put there, so because you don't always have that there. So you can drop the parentheses there if you want to. And I would say drop it. Just drop it. Drop it like it's hot. Boom, boom, boom. All right, sorry. My fault. My bad. All right, and then the last thing is product rule. It's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. All right. So now the product rule, we know we have log here for this one. So the 5 squared got a log, the y to the 10th got a log, and put addition in the middle. So going backwards, we just multiply. Okay, so we just simplified it down. We got rid of the addition sign and combined it. We condensed that down. All right, only thing is, we need to get down to 1 log. So we must have 1 log in the answer. Or you can say, or 1 natural log. ln. So let's write that down. Let's see, hopefully that reads it, and then we go ahead and do it. Read it. Please read it. Perfect. Yay. All right. So we must have 1 log in the answer or 1 natural log in the answer. All right. So with that, we're going to condense it down so we have 1 log. So we just kind of like factor out a log base b, factor everything out. And then we just keep everything else with the fraction. So we have the 4th root of x. We have 5 squared y to the 10th. And then last thing again, because I don't like to have 5 squared. I like to have 25. So let's just do that part. Log b, the 4th root of x, over 25 y to the 10th. And if you need to check yourself to make sure you did it right, you can expand this part here and see if it gets you back to the very beginning of what we just did. If it does, that means you did it right. If it doesn't, that means you did something wrong. We gotta fix that thing. Yeah, fix that bad boy. All right, so again, if there's any questions on this, like you got lost on it, call me over there so I can explain it even more, or talk to your neighbor and see if they can explain it to you better than what I just did or what I can do. It's okay. I don't mind. You guys help each other better than I can. So use each other. Don't cheat. All right. So there you go. That's condensing.